T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. So glad everybody has come back for more of my opinions and my guests and everything I can say about bluegrass. We've got an exciting episode in store today. I am interviewing Josiah Nelson from Mountain Grass Unit. Most of you who listened to Season 1 will remember I reviewed Mountain Grass Unit, the band, when I saw them for the first time last December, and committed to myself that I will never review a band or album again. I feel like I'm a homer if I say nothing but good things, and I feel like I'm a jerk if I have any criticisms whatsoever, constructive criticisms that may be, but criticisms nonetheless. Never going to do that again. So I find it ironic that Josiah was not in Mountain Grass Unit when I saw them last December, and he is now, and he has definitely brought, in my opinion, the missing cornerstone of the band. They now have fiddle, guitar, mandolin, and bass, and feel like it really is a perfect package. With that being said, these guys are probably the hottest thing going right now on the progressive bluegrass scene. They have grown exponentially since I spoke of them last winter. They've released a new EP, Running from Trouble, and I see a really, really bright future. So without further ado, let's have Josiah Nelson from Mountain Grass Unit join us today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Today we have Josiah Nelson. I've known Josiah for several years now. He was, when we first met, he was playing with Trey Wellington, mandolin, and now he's currently with Mountain Grass Unit playing fiddle. Josiah, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I just got home. I went on a hike this morning, and so I'm feeling great this morning.
Fantastic. Where you're in northeast Tennessee? Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. I'm living in Bristol, Tennessee, just a few blocks from the Virginia border. So I always get that question if I'm in Virginia or Tennessee, because the cities, it's two cities, but kind of one city, you know.
Well, many of us have been to the Bristol Music Festival, where you can be in both states at the same time.
Yeah, that festival's great. I actually went to it for the first time this year. I played it with a buddy, and then the festival's right on State Street, which is the state line.
An amazing festival.
It is, yeah.
I had the opportunity to go one time, but basically the whole downtown Bristol is turned into a music festival. Storefronts, stages in all directions.
It's one of those rare city festivals. I feel like you don't get too many of those anymore. There's like IBMA, you know, but I really like it.
I'm looking forward to IBMA is coming to Chattanooga.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be my first IBMA. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I went to Spigma for the first time this January, and having a hotel-based festival, and I don't know if a hotel-based festival is safe to say, but 24 hours a day.
Yeah, IBMA is one of my favorite festivals ever. Just one, of course, all my bluegrass buddies are going to be there every time, but it's right. It's like you can go out of your hotel room and there's just bluegrass everywhere all the time.
Yeah,
you know. And I'm really looking forward to it moving to Chattanooga, because I love Chattanooga as a city, and looking forward to seeing what happens there with the festival.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm way excited. So right now you're playing. How did you get into bluegrass? What was kind of your origin story for those of us that don't know?
Oh yeah, I did not start out on bluegrass. I mean, bluegrass was kind of always there in the background. I started out playing competition style fiddle, Texas style, some people call it. When I was growing up, I took fiddle lessons, and my teachers both came from that realm, and so that's what they prepared me to do. I would go and take place in these fiddle contests, and somewhere along the line, one of my great aunt and uncle took me to the Midwinter Festival in Denver, and it's kind of just been an obsession ever since. You know, I grew up going to Winfield, and then my older brother introduced me to things like the String Dusters, which I know you're a huge fan.
Absolutely.
And Punch Brothers and Billy Strings, and so, you know, it's kind of always been there, maybe. And then at some point, you know, I was going to college at Colorado State University, And I just kind of wasn't really happy with what was going on there, and just was struggling fitting in a lot of ways.
Okay.
And my parents kind of suggested maybe I should go try the East Tennessee State thing. We had heard that they had a bluegrass program, and so I ended up out there, and I've been here ever since.
I have mentioned in the past for a while, Colorado and Boulder, Denver, Fort Collins, that was kind of the progressive bluegrass capital for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for a long time, there's always been bands out here, or not out here, out there, I should say. Hot Rise, and I guess in a lot of ways, the String Dusters were based out there, and all these great bands. And I had had opportunities to see all these bands growing up, and stuff like also Union Station, Allison Krauss and Union Station came played a show in Fort Collins when I was a kid, and so there's this huge access to shows. I mean, because I from the industry side of things, I would say that these festivals out there really try and attract talent from all over the country, and so there's just this incredible access you have to the music.
Yeah, it's kind of moved. It seems like the HQ has moved east a little bit. Nashville and the surrounding area is really kind of, I don't know, grown significantly in the last 5 years, at least the bluegrass scene. And maybe that's just my biased opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's always been a lot of bluegrass in Nashville, but also some of the more, like you're saying, progressive scene. I feel like a lot of people have moved out there, and like a lot of my friends, even in the last few years, have moved from Johnson City to Nashville, and so it's just this big hub, and I feel like there's so much music going on there all the time, thanks to things like Dee's and Jane's Hideaway and all these nightly, or I don't know if it's nightly, but most nights they have bluegrass, and so it's kind of a real mecca now.
It really is, and I've discussed that a lot in previous episodes, and I'm gonna actually do a feature episode coming up where I'm just talking about kind of the side stages of Nashville, the Jane's Hideaway, the Dee's Lounge, the Nations Bar and Grill. There's a lot of, everybody's heard of the Station Inn, at least in the bluegrass scene, and of course the honky tonk of Broadway, but there's so much going on in that city.
I think it's wonderful. It's so many people get to cross paths there and make new music all the time. I'm all for it.
7 nights a week. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But sorry, I digressed a little bit. So you came back to Johnson City, and this is where you were going to school. And so is that kind of, you were into bluegrass at a younger age. You were influenced. You had mentioned your brother kind of introduced you to the String Dusters. What kind of was the spark, the initial jump that, hey, this is something that I want to do?
Oh, man, I would say, I think it was from the moment I picked up a fiddle. I always wanted to play music, but when it comes to bluegrass, I always really liked a lot. Like Michael Cleveland was one of my early fiddle heroes. I saw him at a festival growing up, and I remember seeing him, and Rhonda Vincent was playing the same festival, and so Hunter Berry was there, and seeing him play both at the same festival, and just falling in love with the music and being like, I want to be able to make my fiddle sound like that. And and then also
was there a particular show the first time you saw it, you're like, wow, that's it?
Yeah, it was at Pickin' on the Plains, which is a festival in Colby that I grew up going to, put on by a couple of my family friends. My parents still go to it every year as well. And both of them were playing, and I think Michael Cleveland had played Lee Highway Blues, which if you've not heard him play that, there's plenty of videos on the internet. You should totally go listen to it because it's just incredible. And I think hearing that and hearing so at that festival, I would say I picked up a couple of his records, the like Flamekeeper records, the green one and the original Flamekeeper record. Then I also got Hunter Berry's Wow Baby CD, and man, I just wore those out. Totally wore them out. And then of course later I also always had this like love of technology and all this stuff. So hearing bands like Milk Drive and the String Dusters, how they used, pedals to make new interesting sounds with acoustic instruments, I think.
Milk Drive, I haven't heard that in a while.
Oh man, Milk Drive, I saw them a bunch of times in Colorado, and they are some of my biggest heroes. I totally fell in love with their music.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Oh my gosh, so
They
good.
actually was the very first band that ever performed at the Barrage, before it was even the Barrage.
Oh man, I think you told me that actually. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, they were kind of the genesis in T. Shaw's progressive bluegrass in many ways.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. I remember hearing, I saw them the first time. I can't remember the name of the record, but it's the one with like the four, I don't know if they're gerbils or something playing the instruments on the cover.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but and then falling in love, and then later seeing them again after their last record they came out, and man, it just seeing them perform live and seeing how they interacted with using pedals and creating these new sounds. Oh man, it just so inspiring.
Yeah.
And it was shortly after that I moved out to, or maybe that was still in high school, and then I started really working on the music after that, I would say.
And so you play mandolin and fiddle. What was
Correct.
the first?
Fiddle. I played fiddle for, a long time before I played mandolin. I started fiddle when I was about 11 years old. Like I said, taking lessons and going to fiddle contests. And then maybe it was my junior or senior year of high school. My grandpa gifted me an Epiphone mandolin, which I still have. And I started just kind of messing around with it. And then it wasn't really until I got to, it was right before I moved to ETSU. My parents got me a nicer Eastman mandolin, and I really started going in and learning. And then that was probably the summer right before I moved out to Tennessee, or I believe. And then once I got to Tennessee, I lived with a guy, which I'm sure you know, Thomas Castle.
Absolutely.
So I had endless inspiration with that, and so I really started seriously playing. And of course, Trey asked me to be in his band, and so that kind of forced me to just really shed and hone in on the mandolin.
And that's where we first came, or met, I would say, for the first time. We briefly mentioned that. But what was the conduit into Mountain Grass unit? What kind of launched that current? And that's your current.
It's kind of random, actually. So again, I was at ETSU, and my professors told me there's a guy coming to check the school out. His name's Luke Black, and I was aware of who Luke was through TikTok and Instagram, just seeing his clips and always being like, wow, this guy's really great. Anyways, he was coming to check out ETSU because he thought maybe he was going to go to ETSU for school. And so, my professors had me put together a jam session with him. So we did a jam with like Trey and my buddy Jacob Metz, who plays with Rhonda Vincent now. And ever since then, I mean, we jammed a bunch of Tony Rice tunes and all kinds of stuff. And I think it was pretty clear from there that him and I had very, very similar musical tastes, and we kind of just stayed in contact. And then it was like a year or two later, I think it was MGU's first show outside of Alabama. They came and played a show in Asheville, which, if you know anything about the geography of East Tennessee, Asheville's not that far. So I went down and watched it and sat in with them. And then a year later, which would have been last year, played a whole show with them out in Chapel Hill. I can't remember the name of the venue, and it was kind of from that moment we were like, man, this really makes sense. And so New Year came along, and they asked me to be part of the new record. And then they're like, after that session, they asked if I want to do the first 10 dates of this summer, and I agreed, and I was super excited. And so we got on the road right after finishing the record. I mean, we finished the record into May, and then the first week of June, we were out on the road. Maybe it was the last week of May we were on the road. Anyways, after 2 dates, they were like, hey, we can't do this. This works. Like, can you come the rest of summer? And of course, I had to make a couple calls with this other band I was playing some shows with at the time, and let them know, like, hey, I got this opportunity to play 40-something shows this summer with this band I really like. And then about halfway through the summer, they asked me to just become a full member of the band, and it's been great. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like random luck that we like met for that first time,
Well, music is like that.
Yeah, and Luke, he didn't end up coming to ETSU. Him and Drury are up at Berkeley, so we had to still keep up with each other. But
Well,
over
and at
the
some
internet.
point, I want to do an episode on just Berkeley graduates. I mean, it seems like 50% of the progressive bluegrass scene came from Berkeley.
Yeah, there's so much music, especially like I would say like the generation before me too. I mean, there's just so much of it, and it's incredible. I mean, like look at Billy's band. Like, I guess what is it? 2 members of his band were Berkeley.
If
Billy
not
Failing and
3.
Alex.
Billy Failing and Alex for sure. Maybe it's just
And
the 2.
no, but it's just like, I mean, there's just so much of it from coming from that area. And same with ETSU. I'd say there's quite a bit from the ETSU crew too. Not quite as much. I think my generation at that school was kind of the first that really went in on the progressive music. But there's a lot of students now there that are really in on the progressive music, which I am excited about.
You had mentioned the album. Of course, we've mentioned ETSU several times, so I don't know which one we should discuss first. But I guess let's talk about the new album that
right.
You were not involved with Mountain Grass as the band. You sat in on the album. But tell me about the new album, and then, of course, you've joined the band full time.
Yeah, that was, man, yeah, this was, I think it was maybe December. Well, originally we were supposed to go and record in December, actually. And I fly out or maybe it was the day after Christmas from Colorado because I was back home visiting family. Fly to Nashville for this recording session. I'm a little nervous, but mostly excited. And then I get a call right after I land that I think it was Jury and maybe it was just Jury got food poisoning and we had to cancel. And so I ended up getting right back on a plane. I had breakfast in Nashville, got on a plane, and just flew back to Colorado.
Oh.
But then we ended up rescheduling for middle of February, and they had sent me the music, and I remember the first song I pulled up when they sent me the music was Cicada Song, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is some next level stuff. I'm really hyped about it. But going into the studio, as normally when you're going into a studio session, I would say for a band that you're not a member of, you mostly just whatever the band tells you to do, that's what you do because you're just there to make them happy and whatever they want. But I was totally different with them. I mean, they really wanted me to have my own voice in the music, which I was not necessarily surprised by, but I was very happy with. I mean, because knowing the guys, I knew it was kind of going to be that way, but they were always asking, well, what did I think about stuff, and did I have any ideas? And leading up to that, I was sending some recording voice memos of like ideas I had for building up different sections, like on like Hey Mama, the like fiddle thing that I do on the second break. It was really collaborative, which I was very excited about. And of course, we were working with Mike and Morgan from Old Crow Medicine Show at the Old Crow Heartland Studios, and it was
Fantastic.
it was so fun. Like you said, I wasn't a member of the band at that point, but I think even then it kind of felt like I already was,
That's awesome. Like your favorite pair of jeans fits just right.
Yeah, and just like the music just came out so naturally, which that's usually a good thing,
That's awesome. So now with them, are they still attending Berkeley, or have they graduated at this point?
Yeah, so they're still attending. Luke graduates this year, and Drury graduates next year, and Sam graduates this year from Bama.
Okay.
And so that's, I'm 6 years older than
You're the old man
Drury.
of the group.
I'm the old man, and it's funny, we were
Wise in your ways.
Yeah, we were on the road from Portland, where we were staying with your old friends out
with
there.
Nick and Jen.
Yeah, Nick and Jen, and or maybe we were on our way to Portland. I can't remember, but
He
I was in the back
introduced
just
me
telling
to
all these
Luke Black
stories.
during probably COVID. He was sending me all those Instagram clips and videos where I was like, you got to see this guy.
Yeah, Luke's insane. He's so good.
But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. So we were on that drive, and it was like late at night, maybe 11 at night, 12 at night or something, and I just kept telling all these stories from the road. I've been on the road just a little bit longer than them, just purely because I'm older than them, and just telling them horror stories. And I remember saying something about being be like, "Oh man, y'all ready for another story from Grandpa Joe?" And it kind of just stuck, the name. And they introduced me as Grandpa Joe on one, I think it was the Portland show or some show that ended up on Nugs. And so now I show up places and people just are calling me that, and it's kind of funny. I showed up to a jam in Fort Collins, and the people are like, "Oh man, it's Grandpa Joe." I just thought that was so funny.
Well, you frequently have a really thick beard as well. I've seen you both beardless and with a pretty impressive beard. I'm sure that goes with that character a little bit.
Oh man, the beard's somewhat new. I had never had a beard until basically end of last year. I'm mostly just laziness, but I'll appreciate that. Thank you.
You're embracing it.
I'm embracing it. Mostly it's, again, maybe a little bit of laziness, but also, it hides the double chin a little bit, so can't complain.
Not the beard specifically, but part of what I was asking if they were still in school. So you're a full-time band, but you still get distractions for another year or maybe a little bit more until you can all dive in full-time. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, so, like I said, Drury's still got like about a year. I think he's planning on graduating in December, so just over a year of school left. And mostly are just hitting it super hard in the summer. I mean, can't really say anything about what we're doing next summer, but it's looking like it's going to be pretty insane.
Yeah, your festival schedule alone was stacked.
Yeah, and I'm very, very excited for what we got coming up next year. But I know I think we counted up we did 46 shows or technical dates, but there was more than 50 total days we played, and just because there was multiple day festivals like High Sierra Fest and whatnot. So yeah, so we hit it really hard in the summer just because that's when we have all the time, and then this fall and the spring we have some just one-offs. We had
on a Saturday or
renewal, weekend shows basically. We got the Live on the Plains Tyler Childers Festival here in a couple weeks.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And of course, our Iron City show in December in Birmingham.
That'll also be fun. Now, is that New Year's?
Yeah.
You're doing a New Year's run in Birmingham?
It's just the 27th. We're playing in Birmingham at Iron City.
Okay. This seems like a good moment to take a pause and hear a quick word from our sponsor.
1, 2. It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado. I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee and Georgia. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-TSHAW. That's 864-50-TSHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6650 East Brainerd Road, Suite 208 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 929381.
Yeah.
Now, that kind of what I was kind of transitioning to is, so you are also an instructor at ETSU, is that correct? Or what is your involvement there?
I am adjunct faculty, and so what that means is I teach private lessons, and I teach private lessons in both fiddle and mandolin. And I also am leading a couple of the student bands or ensembles, whatever you want to call them. I teach one duo with a couple of students that are just super eager about, all kinds of stuff. They're doing some Julian Lodge and Chris Eldridge material and doing a couple Billy songs and some John Hartford. And then I'm teaching a bluegrass, straight-headed, like intermediate bluegrass band they're excited and playing some more traditional stuff. And then I'm teaching the Space Grass band, co-teaching that with Wyatt Rice. So doing all the jazz music of Tony Rice with a couple other things in there as well. and of course the private students as well. I really, really enjoy it. I've been teaching for a while, but this is obviously my first time really teaching at the collegiate level, other than like one band I taught while I was a student.
So your plate's full.
Yeah, I stay pretty busy, thankfully.
And
Not
technically, all of the members of Mountain Grass Unit are in school then.
Yeah.
Different
all,
sides of the table, but you're all in school right now.
Yeah, we were having a band meeting the other day, and they were all complaining about midterms, and I was like, I'm just torturing my students with midterms right now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No, it's fun. I mean, it's perfect because it's pretty flexible. I create, I schedule all my own and whatnot, and it's incredible because I have the time because it's kind of built in with the other guys in the band being in school as well. So it's just kind of the perfect thing. So I'm just gonna keep, as long as I can, keep doing the ETSU thing because it's a great gig. I'm not gonna lie. So.
Well, and you love it, and it probably has.
And it's great, and it's like I graduated from there, and so I get it, and.
Does it include benefits?
I wish.
I was going to say that's got to be one of the biggest struggles of musicians is how do we pay for the health insurance?
Yeah, well, I'm very lucky. My girlfriend Emily has a great gig, and I'm able to get health insurance through her. But I know so many of my peers, it's like, gosh, it's such a struggle with that stuff,
Yeah, that's I don't want to call it the dark side of being a musician, but there's a lot of things about being a musician that the public doesn't ever even think about.
Yeah, I mean, like, in terms of that stuff, you're a private contractor, and so, when it comes to tax season, it's scary because, you have to end up paying out of pocket every time because you don't have withholdings, and, especially when you're being on the road a lot. This summer, I ended up in the ER for something while we were in Lake Tahoe, which ended up, it wasn't that big, like that awful of a deal, but it was just like, kind of scary when you're in a place you've never been. You don't know if the healthcare is going to be good. And thankfully, again, like I said, I have health insurance, and you have to be careful out there when you're doing this, and be good with saving your money so you can afford it,
And is there like a musicians union or something that has group health insurance available, or
I don't know about like health insurance with that kind of stuff. I know like there's the musician union in Nashville, and that's for like studio musicians, making sure they get paid good and like work decent hours, But as far as I know, for the broader music scene, I'm not so sure that something like that exists. I mean, I would love to know about it if there is, but I don't know. I don't think so.
Huh. Might have to work on that one day.
Yeah.
Well, and you had mentioned that you were recently at Renewal, and surely everybody listening to this knows Renewal was Billy Strings' festival, and right before he was supposed to take the stage, he took off for more important things, obviously, and to have his first child. But I want to hear about your Renewal experience.
I don't know. It was such a amazing experience out there. I mean, I guess I'll give like a kind of a rundown, like timeline of what happened, So the night before we were supposed to go to Renewal, this was at the same time as the hurricane that tore through Asheville and everything was going on. And I was already in Colorado, but because of the weather, Luke and Jury's flights got canceled. And so, which in the grand scheme of things with what happened with the hurricane was not a big deal. But luckily they were able to get on a flight the next day. Their flight landed, I think, at 11 a.m., and our first set was at 3 in Buena Vista, and they landed in Denver. So, I mean, I picked them up from the airport.
How far is that apart?
It's about a 3-hour drive.
Okay.
And so we just booked it to the festival. I mean, we just got in the car.
No time to spare.
No time. We get to the festival, and finally we get to the gate, and somebody had zip tied it shut, and they couldn't find something to cut it open. And it was a whole thing. Anyways, we finally get through the gate, and we get to the stage 10 minutes before our set starts. And somehow we were able to set up all of our gear in time, and we're ready for downbeat. And it was, I kid you not, basically from that moment, it was 2 days of just straight hauling between stages and playing music. But anyways, back on track. We got that set done, and we get in the.
This was Friday.
Yes, this was Friday, the first day of the festival, and we get in the van, or I guess golf carts. Go back. This was at the soapbox stage. We go to the main stage, and we sit down for dinner because keep in mind we really hadn't had time to really eat or do anything since we picked them up, and we get into the dinner table, and it was kind of just us. And then right after we sit down, Billy's whole band comes in, and Billy was going to sit at another table, and Drury asked him to come sit with us, and so we had dinner with Billy, and we just had all these conversations about just music that we liked, and I was telling him I bought his new pedal, and I was looking forward to using it that weekend, and we come to like talking. Luke asked him about, hey, we cover some of your songs, and if you know anything about our set list, not every time, but quite often we'll cover one or two Billy songs, And we asked him like how he felt about that, and he kind of
we don't want to step on each other's set lists.
Yeah, and of course that weekend we had, I can't remember, it was like 7 sets that we had planned out, and none of them had Billy songs because it was Billy's festival, and we didn't want to step on that, But he kind of gave us his blessing and said that he was honored that we did it, and we were just so thankful. And of course we finished our dinner, we go back to the other stage, we get this call, said, hey, emergency, come back to main stage, possible sit-in. And so we go back to the main stage, and we weren't really sure what was happening yet, and we were kind of sitting around
a song or two.
Yeah, we were like trying to think like, what
are we gonna play?
Drury was like, oh, maybe I'll sing like Big River or something, Nothing Billy, because usually, when people sit in with Billy's band, they play other songs, not Billy songs. But then, like, finally we find out that, what had happened, and, like, by the time we were back, keep in mind, this was like 10 minutes after we had dinner with Billy. He was already on a plane to go be with his wife, who was having a baby. And Billy's manager, Bill, was, like, asking us, like, what song do you guys want to play tonight? And Drury was like, Big River or whatever. And the guy's like, no, Billy songs. And so we went into the festival planning like not to play any Billy songs. And there it is, Billy's manager, Bill, telling us we had to play a Billy song.
Yeah, you're doing Billy's set.
I know. And so Luke and Drury get up and played, like, they played Turmoil and Tinfoil that first night. And the crowd just, they were kind of, concerned because they go to this festival thinking that they were getting, Billy, and, they didn't end up getting Billy. But luckily, Luke and Drury knew Turmoil really well, and the crowd just ate it up. And we get off, and Scotty, who's kind of the promoter of the festival, he runs Bonfire, was like, hey, pencil in a main stage slot tomorrow. And so we weren't supposed to play the main stage the next day, but we ended up getting an afternoon set, and it just ended up being so incredible that day. But it was really like, just so much happened in like just a few hours.
I wasn't at renewal, but I was looking at just the band lineup going into it, and I'm like, holy cow, that festival is going to be worthy of attending even if Billy wasn't there. And then, of course, when Billy had to bail, I'm like, that's still the best bang for the buck going anywhere. That festival was just stacked with talent.
It was incredible, and I will say, like, they had to pivot really hard to make it work. Scotty and Billy's team, they turned it into this big, just like celebration of music with the people who were there. So, that first night, Stickley got up, and Larry Keel, and Luke and Drury, and then the next night, Jerry Douglas, Molly Tuttle, and then all of us in MGU got up. And, it ended up being this, like, really special event with music that, you wouldn't have got if it was what was supposed to happen. Like Alex Hargraves got up and sang some songs and just doing all this out there material that just wowed the audience. And I would say, like, nobody who went there was upset with what happened. They were, I think, happy that Billy made the choice to be with his wife, something that Billy's never going to regret, And then the day after the festival, even though everybody was really satisfied and happy with what happened at the festival, Billy still went out of his way to refund everybody.
Just amazing.
I thought that was just, man, what a genuinely nice thing to do, you know.
It was what, 8,000 people probably.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
tons and tons.
That's a big
of
check.
money. It is, but it just shows you what kind of guy he was. I mean, I had always known just through the grapevine that he was just a genuinely nice guy, and then like dinner reaffirmed that with him, and then of course that gesture just blew us away, you know.
Yeah, amazing. And slightly off topic, I guess he used Ringo Starr's private jet to get back to Nashville. Was that like lined up in advance? Do you know?
Well, we asked Bill, who's Billy's manager, and he's like, yeah, we had plans together. Like we had all sorts of plans to make sure something was going to happen in case something happened. Because of course, going into that, they knew that this was
the due date.
I mean,
that
was his wife was 9 months pregnant. Like it was very possible, you know. But yeah, and it all makes more sense now. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Ringo Starr is putting out a record and Billy's on it, so you know, makes all kinds of sense. Yeah, I think Molly's on it too. And
he's a Beatle.
I know.
That's a big deal.
Insane.
Yeah,
pretty insane.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I was curious. I'm like, how did that? Surely there had to be some advanced logistical planning to make that happen.
Yeah, they
Ringo's just not sitting around with his jet powered up, ready to go.
In Buena Vista.
Yeah, I mean he lives in California, I think. So that was just a wild story. But when I saw that announcement, I was just looking at that lineup, thinking that is a once in a lifetime festival for everybody in attendance.
Yeah,
the uniqueness that's going to come out of it with Billy departing as it was beginning was just. I had FOMO. And Nugs streamed night 2, so I got to watch the video of night 2, but they didn't stream night 1, and I was banging my head against the wall thinking, what are we missing right now?
I saw so many people on the internet, like, so sad that it wasn't, and I will say, like, being there and, you know, we were sitting in front of the barricades watching, and of course me and Sam didn't sit in the first night, only Luke and Jury did, and so we were there in front of the barricades just like filming, like we keep saying we were like proud grandparents or proud parents of them, just so excited. And it really was just a special night, and both nights were really special, and I was just thankful to be a part of it, you know.
And with last minute collaborations for essentially everybody, what was I assume backstage sessions like? I mean, it's everybody was just trying to work as a team to save the day, and everybody was everybody. I mean, that fest, like I said, I mean, you had Molly Tuttle, Golden Highway, Mountain Grass Unit, John Stickley Trio, Larry Keel Experience. I mean, you had them all.
Jerry Douglas.
Yeah,
it was pretty crazy because, of course, nobody really knew what was exactly happening, because how could you know that when everybody else was just like, you know, kind of confused. But I will say that not once did anybody seem panicked or anything. Like none of Billy's team or none of Bonfire, who puts on the festival, they were all just calm and like, hey, we're just going to make the best of this. And I'll say just that was incredible. But like you said, the sessions, they gave us these passes that let us go back into like Billy's green room area that they had set up. It's like 2 trailers with a living room set up in the middle, and just like hearing his band rehearse, Billy's band, and then also like, you know, Molly sitting in getting ready because they were writing a set list right before the show, figure out what material are we going to scrape together as a band to good show. And it was incredible seeing just everybody was just so calm about it all, you know. And I feel like in if that were to happen to some other bands, I feel like there might be some panic involved, you know, and that just was not the vibe that weekend, you know.
That had to be amazing.
It was so cool being backstage. And I always joke, I always see on like Billy posts, like, you know, he always shows some of like his random road cases that he's got. He's got one that's got like the Thirst Mutilator fridge, and so he's got that set up in that green room. And once we got the badge allowed us back there, I was going back there. We were grabbing Thirst Mutilators out of there, and I was feeling like a rock star, you know.
That's awesome. I've had one Thirst Mutilator. I remember really enjoying it. I don't know where to get it, actually.
They're not out here in East Tennessee. I'm not sure, like Southeast or anything, Tennessee or anything, what the deal is. But it's really good. They had like both flavors, very delicious.
I haven't had the newest flavor. I had the original ones.
Grape. It's good. It's good.
I'll have to track it down. Yeah. Well, that sounds like an amazing experience. What is kind of who's in your playlist right now? Who are you? What's kind of the top couple of bands that are influencing you currently?
Oh man, yeah, I've been listening to all kinds of stuff recently. I feel like in a lot of ways, sometimes my playlists have been, stagnating the last few years. But in terms of like newer stuff that I've been listening to, I've been listening to a bunch of Zach Top. I really dig what he's doing with country music and his writing and everything. It's just feel good music, I guess.
I'll have to check it out. Not familiar with Zach.
Zach he was a bluegrass guy, and now he's making country music, and it's kind of reminiscent of like 90s, late 80s, 90s country. And so it's nice. He does really well. And then keeping with like the country theme, I just am constantly listening to this guy, the Stelly player Red Volkert. He kind of moved out this way. He lives in Galax, but he's originally from Canada and toured with Merle Haggard for a long time. But he's a telly player, and he does a trio thing. I guess Red Volkert, I don't know, band or trio, I don't know what they call it, but it's on YouTube live from the Floyd Country Store, and man, that is some of the most incredible music. So I've kind of been stuck on that a lot, and of course, been digging into Billy's new record. Of course, that came out renewal weekend, so been really digging that. And then this morning on my hike, and I go hiking or walking almost every day, and the thing I've been doing this last week is Punch Brothers put out a new podcast show, radio show kind of thing, the Energy Curfew Music Hour, with a bunch of guests.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I haven't listened to it.
Oh, it's incredible. It's kind of like a fictional story, but they have guests on every episode, like James Taylor, Norah Jones, Jason Isbell, and so every morning I go on about an hour walk or whatever, and so I've been slowly going through those last week or so, and it's been super inspiring because bunch of Brothers new materials on there too. Plus, I never knew I needed to hear Jason Isbell with Punch Brothers as his backing band, but man,
now you have
incredible.
to. Yeah.
That sounds
awesome.
Incredible. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, you've been doing a hike or a walk every day. Kind of getting in a routine. Exercise, obviously, especially when you're traveling on the road, is something definitely to keep up with. But what about, like, do you have a routine for each show when you're preparing for a show? What kind of goes through? What's the process of getting ready for a gig?
Well, it's different for everything, I guess. But so next weekend I'm playing with I'm filling in for Corey in the Trey Wellington band, my old band, and so there's new material. And so yesterday and today I've been really working through, or later today I will be working through, and yesterday I was working through some of the new material that Trey's added since I've left. And so I just go through and make sure that I have my parts down, and then usually that starts about a week before the gig, but if it's more complicated stuff, maybe longer than that.
No superstitions.
I feel no, I don't really, no, not at all. I just make sure that I'm ready, so that the more ready I am, the less nervous I have the chance to be, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and I would assume, and this is where you can definitely correct me, you've been playing a whole lot more fiddle lately than mandolin. So is that kind of a different process getting, I don't want to say you were rusty getting back into mandolin. I'm sure you still play it frequently, but.
Yeah, no, it definitely felt rusty. I mean, like you said, I've been, at the beginning of the year, I played my last few dates with Trey, and then I did some dates with this band, the Cleverleys, and that was on fiddle, and that kind of filled my time all spring, and then, of course, went straight from that into the mountain grass role. I mean, I literally was on a week and a half tour with Cleverleys, and then I got back to Nashville with them, went straight to the studio with MGU, and then we left straight from the studio to go on the road for, I don't know, 2.5 weeks. And so, anyways, like you said, I've just been playing a lot of fiddle, and so getting my right hand to where it feels comfortable again has been kind of the goal for the last week and a half, because it's like you said, it definitely was feeling rusty, and I don't want to show up and just make a fool of myself. So,
No, of course not.
yeah. So it's like, although I didn't really start working on the material until the last few days, I have been just shedding mandolin, just tunes I already did know. That way I was ready, you know.
Well, yeah, I guess the fans, we take that for granted. When you're playing multiple instruments, it's bluegrass is unique that musicians can take on different roles like that.
Yeah, and if I had to do it over again, I would say maybe only focus on a couple instruments, because I, of course, also play, octave mandolin, which is kind of pretty similar to mandolin, but it's different, and then also guitar, and so, man, it's like I'm always jumping between all of those instruments, and it is like you have to like rewire your brain, you know?
Well, it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a musician myself, which is surprising. I'm the black sheep of my family. I'm the one that does not play. Guitar seems to be the base for like songwriting. Do you do a lot of songwriting yourself, or have you done songwriting in the past? And is kind of the guitar the foundation when the songwriting process takes place?
I'd say about half the time. I have a few songs that, like, my first few songs I wrote, like Soju was the first song I ever wrote. It's like a progressive instrumental thing. And it started out, I just found this chord progression on guitar. I just was learning all these new shapes when I was at ETSU as a student, and put them together, on guitar, and then later added melody on mandolin. But, nowadays, right now we've been working on a new song. I wrote like a riff and stuff too for Mountain Grass Unit. I wrote that on guitar, but now I'm moving stuff over to fiddle, and of course the lyrics. But I would say about half the time it's guitar that I start on. I really enjoy guitar, and I think different because I spend so much time playing mandolin and fiddle. Everything that I try and write on those instruments just ends up sounding samey to me. Whereas if I pick up a guitar, no matter what I do, it sounds fresh to me because I just don't play it as much, So it's easier for me to hear new, exciting ideas for songwriting when it comes to that.
That's awesome. What kind of guitar do you currently play primarily?
I have a few guitars. I have a 72 Martin D28 that I inherited from, it was my uncle's who I was talking about earlier that took me to the Bluegrass Festival. He unfortunately passed this summer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was really sad, but he always knew that I always liked Martins, and he had a bunch of guitars, and so me and all my brothers got instruments, and a couple of my cousins and uncles. But he had this Martin, and he knew that I really liked Martins, and he decided to, pass it on to me. And it's a wonderful, wonderful guitar. And so I of course, because of how I ended up with it, I end up playing that more than anything because I feel so connected to my uncle, and every time I play it,
I'm a Martin fan myself, and it's definitely, for years, Martin was the only guitar in bluegrass, it seemed like. And now it's kind of the minority. I know Del McCurry still plays a Martin, but
there's a bunch of people still playing Martins, but there's also like all these boutique builders that have been rising since, late 80s and really gained popularity in the 2000s. Stuff like Bourgeois and Collings and, Thompson and whatnot. There's so many good guitars out there. It's insane. So my other guitar, I have it's a 2022 Gibson J45, and that's a wonderful guitar. It plays so nice and it sounds great. And then I also have this 71 Ovation Balladeer, and I got that just because it was super cheap at a music go round when I was in town in Fort Collins one time. So I said, why not?
There you go. You can never have too many, right?
Yeah, and then of course I have a Telecaster as well, which I don't hardly ever play unless I'm teaching guitar, but I love playing it.
That's awesome. Well, hey, man. I mean, at this point, we've covered a lot. You've got, you're back in school right now. You've got the New Year's show coming up, or not New Year's Eve, but the 28th or whatever it is in Birmingham, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So, and I assume tickets are still available for that. That has not sold out yet.
I don't think so. Definitely go out. I think it's on our website.
I'm certain it is.
Should be on the website. So we got that. We got, like I said, in a couple weeks, we got Tyler Childers' thing, which that should be just incredible. I'm thinking that might be the biggest crowd that we've ever played in front of.
What's the expectation size for that?
I'm not sure. Let me look.
And was Renewal the largest crowd you played for prior to this festival coming up? Or have you played bigger than that before?
I would say for the band, maybe. I think so. But for the main stage thing. But also we played Bourbon and Beyond a couple weeks before that. A couple festival things this summer as well. So I'm not 100%, but it does seem like that. I'm not sure.
Well, that's okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess the Live on the Plains, I'm not sure. It doesn't really say what the capacity is, but I would say quite a bit. I mean, I don't know. But it's going to be fun. I'm excited for that one. And another one of those like rock star moments. The show is kind of sponsored by Wrangler, and so the Wrangler sent us a bunch of clothes.
Oh, nice.
So that kind of felt another one of those like rock star moments, It was pretty fun. So we got that, and then the day after Thanksgiving, we're playing in Boulder with Leftover Salmon.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Well. Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so at this point, we don't have much of a plan for the next year, the new year and beyond?
We got plan. We got a great plan, like a bunch of plans, but nothing that we can share yet.
Okay,
so,
fair enough. But probably working on
the
another
lookout
album too, I would imagine, or maybe you can't even talk about that.
Nothing I can talk about, but
okay.
I know that we have a very packed schedule next year, and so I'm excited for everything that we're doing to come out. I know right now I think the only thing we have confirmed is we're going up and playing in Canada for the first time, which will be fun.
Oh, nice.
At the Folk Alliance, International Folk Alliance. But yeah, tons of stuff,
fantastic.
And just be on the lookout because we'll be, slowly be sharing a bunch of that. So
looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing where you guys are going to go. And man, I really appreciate you making the time to come talk to us today. It's
of course.
You originally reached out to me when you discovered the Mountain Grass Unit podcast. I'm guessing you were on tour with Mountain Grass Unit.
Yeah, we were in, I don't know where we were, but we were in the van somewhere.
And I immediately cringed when you sent that message because I didn't say anything bad, but that episode almost ended T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass because I felt like I didn't want to criticize. And I had a really hard time getting through that episode, and I finally broke through it. I'm like, all right, I'm never going to review a band ever again. I'm not qualified to do so. Oh my gosh, they're hearing it, and I just wanted to go crawl underneath a rock when you sent me that message.
No.
I'm like, they're not supposed to hear that. But I'm really glad you got to come on. I'm really glad you're sharing this time with us. I am really excited for Mountain Grass Unit. I feel like they're one of the most exciting bands to keep an eye on right now. They're really gaining a huge following in a short amount of time. The scene has changed so much in the recent few years, and I feel like you guys are on the front of the wave.
Oh man, well, thank you. Going into the summer, I knew that like the gigs were going to be awesome playing with them, and then there was this moment halfway through the summer when we had a few Nug shows out, and we just noticed that people just started like coming, and they knew. I can't remember. It was maybe our Portland show got out, and the next date we played, people came to that show, knew all the words to all of the original songs on the album that only came out a few weeks ago. and at that point had not been out yet, and so it was,
That's confirmation for sure.
it was just so cool to like. I had never, I've been playing out professionally for over a decade at this point, and I've never been in a situation where it's like the people know all the words to all the originals. It's just, especially like stuff that has not been released yet. That was so cool,
That's amazing.
And so it's like we showed up, and there was a few gigs where it's just like all of a sudden, we were selling twice as much tickets, and it just like something happened, and it was so cool. It's been so fun. I'm very thankful for the gig,
I can't wait to see what's in store in the future. So, well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I'm really just honored and grateful that you were able to do that, and really looking forward to catching you the next time on the road. Maybe I can make it down to that Birmingham show. I don't have my calendar near me, but it's
oh man, that'd be great.
Would love to. I have not seen Mountain Grass since you have joined. When I saw Mountain Grass previously, it was just as a trio, and I feel like what I've seen on Nugs and what I've listened to on the album and whatnot, I feel like you were the missing link. It's really awesome to have you join in, and of course I didn't know you as a fiddle player prior to joining Mountain Grass Unit, and it was the missing piece. I feel like we've got the corner in place, the cornerstones in place, and it's just the future's really, really exciting for you guys.
Man, thank you so much. You too. Bye.
1, 2. It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Hello, I'm Trevor Shaw. I'm not just a bluegrass aficionado. I'm a bluegrass aficionado that's a mortgage loan officer at Chat Mortgage in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'd be honored for the opportunity to help you get your residential mortgage loan or refinance anywhere in Tennessee and Georgia. From veterans using their hard-earned benefits to first-time home buyers needing down payment assistance to retirees finally getting the home they've always dreamed of. Call or text me today at 864-50-T-SHAW. That's 864-50-T-SHAW.
It's a big purchase, it's a big deal. Trevor Shaw knows exactly how you feel for refinance or a new home. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan. Trevor Shaw will help you get your loan.
Chat Mortgage is powered by Almeida Mortgage Corporation, NMLS number 271603. Chat Mortgage is located at 6650 East Brainerd Road, Suite 208 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Phone number 423-591-9801. Trevor Shaw, NMLS number 929381. That was originally recorded October 20th, 2024, about 11 a.m. in the morning at the start of the interview. I'm only going to have a handful of videos today. We're going to go ahead and put down the announcement of IBMA coming to Chattanooga. Also in my liner notes, I'll have one video from Milk Drive, maybe even two that we spoke about earlier, Josiah and I did. Probably throwing a Mountain Grass video from when I was there last December. There's going to be a link to Mountain Grass's website where you can get the newest merchandise and albums. And I really hope everybody had a great time and comes back for more. We're going to have another episode next Wednesday, January 29th at 7 a.m. Eastern is the release time. Hope you all tune in. It's going to be another exciting interview. I'm not going to tell you who, but I can promise you it'll be worth listening. We've got a lot of fascinating things we're going to talk about, highly entertaining, and definitely some insight into the industry that majority of you have never given thought to. So thank you once again from Trevor Shaw, T. Shaw's Progressive Bluegrass. Thanks so much.